Now, self-destruction can come in a variety of ways. It's not always centered around physical harm. In fact, a lot of people are probably subjecting themselves to a variety of self-harm practices on a daily basis. Of course, this also depends on the extent of it. For instance, some people enjoy smoking even though they know it's bad for them. Now that in a way could be considered self-destructive behavior. But sometimes there are things that affect your life on a more personal level that cause you to take actions that you wouldn't normally take. And sometimes you make decisions that aren't in your best interest. I'm Michael with WriterSanctuary, and today we're going to talk about self-destructive behavior and how it's not always physical that does the most damage. After losing my son a couple weeks ago, my family was very concerned that I was going to fall back into self-destructive behavior. When I was a child, I spent a lot of time punching trees and windows and just causing a lot of physical harm to myself. I wasn't a cutter or anything. I would just not care, and I've broken a bone punching a cement floor. So I was a bit on the destructive side, but it wasn't just the physical aspect of it. And over the years, I've grown out of the physical harm to myself and was doing pretty good until recently. And after losing my 19-year-old, my family was really concerned that I would fall back into some severe self-destructive stuff. Which brings me to a point. Just because you think a problem is insignificant of someone else doesn't mean that they don't see it as the end of the world. To someone, the most simplest of things could be overwhelming to the point of taking their own life. So never discredit something someone brings up to you, even though you might think nothing's big. Because in their world, it could be devastating. I think that was part of my problem when I was growing up, was that a lot of things that I thought were huge, nobody took seriously. But like I said, not all self-destructive behavior comes at the cost of bodily harm. I am a severely broken individual, more so than I really thought. Over the past few years, I have gone through an immense amount of depression and stress. I don't hurt myself physically anymore, but I do punish myself like you wouldn't believe. This is especially true after losing my son. I'm exceptionally hard on myself in just about everything. Part of that has to deal with imposter syndrome, which I'll talk about in a second. But I'm always thinking I could do better and I can do better. But then I don't take the actions to be better, and then it just starts the whole cycle all over again. A lot of times I'll use eating as a form of self-destructive behavior. And sometimes I starve. I remember one time where I was depressed for about 3 days. I didn't sleep or eat, and I looked in the mirror and saw that my eyes were sunken into my head and there was dark circles around them. And at that point, I decided I better do something. A lot of things that I do center around making other people happy at the sacrifice of my own happiness. And sometimes selfless behavior is a quality, but not when it starts driving yourself to madness and depression and anxiety and anger. At that point, it's no longer selflessness, it's self-destructive. Now, mental self-destruction can be as damaging, if not more so, than anything you could do to yourself physically. I mean, after all, physical wounds will heal most of the time, and the mental damage will stick around for quite some time. And as I sit here, I realize that I am not happy with my life in many regards. Sure, I'm successful as a freelance writer, and my client right now loves me as a manager. I do great work, we're doing great things, but I'm still missing a lot of what I want out of my life. And the things that are weighing down on me right now are making me less efficient at work, far more depressed and stressed. And much of it has to do with trying to make other people happy in their life and their situation. In the end, the sacrifice winds up costing you far more than you'll ever realize. I've taken jobs from clients I didn't like. I've been friends with people that I shouldn't really been friends with. I've even stayed in relationships longer than I should have because I wanted everybody to be happy. And in the end, a few years ago, it costed me a relationship of 15 years. I still have a lot of damage from an ex-landlord / friend / confidant that I thought I could trust, but it wound up he ruined my life. And a lot of the damage that I've been through all stems from my need to make sure everybody else is taken care of at the cost of myself. Now, another part of being self-destructive is imposter syndrome. Now, I've, as a writer, created a lot of stories and content that I thought kind of sucked at the end, so I wound up throwing them away. I was a judge, jury, and executioner of all of those stories instead of letting my audience decide for themselves. It's all about not feeling good enough. And sometimes I have doubts as a manager. I mean, my client loves the work I do. We do great stuff. My team loves me. I think we're doing great, but there's days where I'm thinking anybody could do this job, even though not a lot of people can. Your own happiness needs to be part of the consideration when you're going through life. It's not selfish to want more out of life and to be happy. You need to make sure that your needs are taken care of, even if you have kids. I know some people that have sacrificed their entire day and their entire lifespan to center around their children and what they want. Which is good and all, because you need to take care of your kids. But if you're not taking care of yourself, then it doesn't matter how much effort you put into your children, it's going to suffer. In the long run, you wind up being more depressed and stressed out. And then the kids pick up on that, and it just causes a lot of problems. I mean, I'm not saying that your entire life should center around your own happiness, but you need to take it into consideration, otherwise you're not going to be effective for anybody. Now, selflessness can contribute to being happy, but it's when it gets to a point to where you're not happy in anything, you're always depressed, and you're even angry. It's at that point that you need to pull back and start focusing more on yourself. Now, am I self-destructive today? In some aspects I am. There's a lot of things weighing down on me right now, and I've gone through a lot in the past few months. But if I want to get out of this rut, I need to change the way that I view everything around me, including myself. I need to stop letting past situations control my life. I need to get past my own misgivings about myself and see the potential that other people see. And I need to be larger than life for my kids. And that means making myself happy with how my life unfolds. Maybe one day I can call myself fixed. But it all starts with what I can do to understand myself and to adjust my behavior. I need to get past all the negativity and try to do something more positive with my life. Something that makes me happy. Because if I'm not happy, then the people around me aren't going to be happy either. Emotions are quite contagious, really. And right now, I don't know if anybody would want to hang out with me. It's been really rough, but I know I can get through it. I just need to put in the effort to change my life for the better and quit wallowing in self-pity. Well, I guess it's not really self-pity, but it is something that I have to focus more on me. Because one day you think your life is going okay and things are unfolding kind of like you want them to, and then something happens and it just pulls the rug out from under you. And if you're not secure in your lifestyle and what you're doing, it can really affect you. And please, if you know somebody or are somebody who is thinking about suicide, seek help. There is no problem too great that it should cost a life. You just need to find a viable solution. I'm Michael with WriterSanctuary. Take care of yourself and do what you need to do to make yourself happy.